unleashing the most feared Native American tribes in history. While countless Native American tribes held their own with incredible power and influence, only a few stood out as truly terrifying in battle and reputation. Among them, 3 tribes rose to the top, not just known but feared, for their unmatched ferocity, fearless tactics, and relentless dominance over their enemies. These tribes didn't just defend, they conquered, they raided, and they haunted the nightmares of those who dared to challenge them. Fearful Face. In this video, we're peeling back the curtain on 3 of the deadliest Native American tribes that you may have never even heard about. And trust me, their stories are chilling. But before we dive deep into this fierce chapter of history, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful and eye-opening content. Fire. Just the mention of this tribe's name used to spark fear, even among other Native American nations. Known far and wide as the Lords of the Plains, this group built their identity around war, domination, and fearlessness. The very word Comanche is believed to come from the Ute language, meaning anyone who wants to fight all the time, or simply put, the enemy. Face with steam from nose. The Comanches trace their origins to the Shoshone tribe, who once inhabited the Great Basin region in the western part of what is now the United States. Linguistic and cultural studies have shown strong ties between them, especially in language and lifestyle. Their language belongs to the Uto-Aztecan family, which stretches across much of the western U.S., connecting many indigenous cultures. Everything changed when European colonists, particularly the Spanish, brought horses to the Americas in the 1500s. These animals didn't just alter travel, they revolutionized native life. As horses spread from tribe to tribe, the Comanches quickly realized their potential. They bartered and traded with groups like the Pueblo, who already had Spanish contact, and other plains tribes to obtain these powerful animals. Through strategic trade, offering buffalo hides, captives, and other valuable resources, the Comanches acquired horses and, in doing so, completely transformed their way of life. They didn't just use horses. They became the masters of them. They pushed far from their original homeland, claiming the wide, buffalo-rich lands of eastern Colorado and western Kansas. Here, the Comanches evolved into the most elite equestrians the continent had ever seen. Horses weren't just tools, they were status symbols, instruments of war, and an extension of the Comanche soul. Children learned to ride almost before they could walk, and both men and women developed exceptional skills. The Comanches had a remarkable method for taming wild horses. Spotting one, they'd rope its neck, cause it to faint, revive it gently by blowing into its nose, clean it up, and introduce it to a calm mare. This began the taming process. After a few days, the wild horse would roam freely, but it had bonded with the tribe and rarely strayed. Amazing, right? When it came time to ride a freshly tamed horse, the handler would guide it into a sandy creek bed or deep water, both to reduce its resistance and to soften any potential fall. This method worked so well that horses soon became as loyal as they were powerful. William Blakemore, a British man who spent 8 years living among them, once said, "On foot they may appear slow, even awkward, but once on horseback, they become the most daring, graceful, and fearless riders in the world. And when they entered battle, they were the stuff of nightmares." The Comanches would launch terrifying raids, galloping at full speed with deafening war cries, using their horses for cover, exposing only a foot or an elbow while firing arrows and bullets with deadly accuracy under and over their horses' necks. Every warrior had a favorite war horse, one they trusted only in the heat of combat. Even the women were fierce, fearless riders, often participating in hunts and even warfare, chasing down animals and enemies alike. Their rise in power was fast and unstoppable. Known for their brutal, unrelenting raids, they were described by early European powers as almost impossible to defeat. The Spanish, who had acquired Louisiana from France, struggled for decades to make any meaningful peace with them. The Comanches resisted every push from the French, Spanish, and later American settlers. Their land wasn't just protected, it was a fortress of fire and fury. In fact, the Comanches were so effective, so fearsome, that they actually halted Spanish expansion for nearly 50 years. Flushface. General James Wilkinson, a high-ranking U.S. official, once called them the most formidable indigenous power in North America. And he wasn't exaggerating. Initially seen as mere horse thieves, the Comanches built a savage reputation with their terrifying nighttime raids, known as Comanche moons. These brutal assaults saw hundreds of Comanche warriors storming Mexican settlements, massacring men, abducting women, and stealing horses with lightning speed. They would ambush travelers, take their horses, and later sell them to the Spanish, the Mexican Empire, or even the Americans, turning violence into commerce. Even though they were a relatively small tribe, around 40,000 people, each Comanche owned 2 to 3 horses, and young warriors were expected to earn their reputation through constant raids. To gain honor, respect, and status, they had to prove themselves by stealing, killing, and surviving. Women were no less feared. They became infamous for their cruel treatment of captives, often torturing them in ways meant to terrify and warn others. Once captured, many enemies begged for death instead of what was to come. A. Gwynn, author of Empire of the Summer Moon, claimed that no other tribe caused such widespread devastation across the Spanish, French, Mexican, Texan, and American frontiers. According to him, there wasn't even a close second. Face screaming in fear. Their raids were calculated and horrifying. Men were slaughtered, captives brutally tortured, women gang raped, and infants mercilessly killed. One particularly chilling tale involves the Parker family, early settlers at Fort Parker in 1836. As told by historian T.R. Fehrenbach, a group of around 100 Comanche warriors rode up to the fort. One waved a white flag, a trick. Benjamin Parker stepped out to talk and was immediately surrounded and killed by lances. The Comanches stormed the fort, killing men and brutalizing the rest. John Parker was mutilated, scalped, and left for dead. Granny Parker was pinned to the earth with a lance and suffered unthinkable abuse. Pensive face. Soldiers taken as captives, both American and Mexican, faced slow, excruciating deaths. Some were burned alive, others castrated while conscious. One method included burying men up to their necks, slicing off eyelids, and letting the sun cook their eyeballs while they starved. Still more victims were staked over ant beds, genitals removed and stuffed into their own mouths, lips sewn shut to silence their screams. Fearful face. Another method. Sewing captives into rawhide, letting it dry in the sun until it crushed them. According to Fehrenbach, Spanish accounts detail how Comanches tortured Tonkawa captives, burning hands and feet, amputating them, and then burning the wounds again. Some were scalped alive and had their tongues torn out, all to muffle their cries. Uncovering the fiercest Native American tribes in history. Throughout history, many Native American tribes showcased incredible strength, rich traditions, and remarkable resilience. But among them stood a few that were feared above all others, not just respected, but utterly terrifying in their ability to dominate, destroy, and defend their land with unrelenting force. Collision. While countless tribes carved out powerful legacies, there are 3 in particular whose names were spoken in hushed tones, whispered with caution, even among their own native kin. These were warriors unlike any other, tribes so fierce they seemed more like forces of nature than mere humans. And in this video, we're diving into the dark, powerful legacies of the 3 most feared Native American tribes in history. Ones you may have never heard about before, but after today, you'll never forget. Face screaming in fear. Before we journey into this intense and chilling past, make sure to like this video, and hit that subscribe button so you never miss a drop of raw, fascinating history like this. Let's begin with a name that struck fear into the hearts of friend and foe alike. Just hearing it was enough to make warriors tremble. These people were known by many, but most famously as the Lords of the Plains. That title wasn't just given, it was earned again and again in the dust and blood of battle. Horse-crossered. The name Comanche itself comes from the Ute language, roughly translating to those who are always ready to fight, or simply, the enemy. And oh, did they live up to that name. Their roots. They run deep, tracing back to the Shoshone people, who once thrived in what is now known as the Great Basin of the western United States. Through anthropological discoveries, experts have connected the dots between the Shoshone and the Comanches, identifying clear similarities in their language, customs, and overall way of life. Both groups spoke dialects from the Uto-Aztecan language family, a widespread family of native tongues spoken across much of the western U.S. This linguistic heritage connected many tribes across vast distances, forming a cultural web that the Comanches would soon dominate. But it wasn't until one pivotal moment in history that their rise truly began, when European explorers, especially the Spanish, introduced horses to the continent in the 16th century. These majestic creatures, unknown to the Americas before then, slowly but surely made their way into the hands of native peoples, and changed everything. Horseface. The Comanches were quick to see the horse not just as a tool, but as a weapon, a status symbol, and a lifeline. Through vast trade networks, they bartered for horses from nearby tribes like the Pueblo, who had already been touched by Spanish influence, or with other plains tribes who had begun to ride. They didn't just receive horses, they earned them. In exchange for buffalo hides, captured prisoners, tools, or other valuable resources, the Comanches built a powerful horse economy. And once they had them, they didn't just ride, they dominated. In what seemed like the blink of an eye, the Comanches expanded well beyond their Shoshone roots. Their eyes and ambitions turned to the rolling plains of eastern Colorado and western Kansas, lands rich with buffalo and open space. Here they would carve out a new empire on horseback. Buenero. Their horsemanship, next level, truly unmatched. They became exceptional riders, unrivaled in skill, precision, and connection with their mounts. Horses weren't just transportation, they were part of the Comanche identity. Status, strength, and even love for their animals ran deep in Comanche society.